Part 138. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1374. In fact, Jia Yan told Edisha that there would be a lot of divine crystals in the future, and he was not lying. W.QDD. Because he already felt that the divine crystal was actually more beneficial to him than the crystal of faith, so he slowly changed his focus. Sure enough, I can absorb divine crystals, and the absorption speed is no slower than other substances. In this case, wouldn't I be able to use divine crystals to enhance my strength like their gods? Jia Yan's eyes lit up. In front of him, the divine crystal had shrunk in size by a full circle. After just 10 minutes of trying, it actually absorbed a large divine heart. For Jia Yan, the evolved beast, no matter what it is, it seems that as long as it contains energy and does not exceed the scope of his strength, it can be effectively absorbed, unlike other star-level powerhouses, or gods. Like the strong, there are very strict restrictions and requirements in this regard. This prompted Jia Yan to change the goal of the battle. He still wants the crystal of faith, and he still wants it under the guise of this, but in fact Jia Yan will ask the people below to get the crystal of God as much as possible. Things like the gods actually have a much better effect on improving his strength than the crystals of faith, and because the purity of the crystals of faith is not high, Jia Yan can feel that after the energy they provide reaches a certain level, the effect will be weakened, and in the end it will have no effect on Jia Yan at all. Relatively speaking, the difference is that the energy of the divine crystal is hundreds or thousands of times thicker, and Jia Yan absorbs it many times faster. From this point of view, the thing that is currently on my food list is this divine crystal that has the best effect. Haha, gods, I'm sorry, I didn't really want to go against you who made you become prey on my diet. Jia Yan did not stay in the subspace for long. After one day of so-called seclusion, he came out. At this time, the environment of the entire surrounding area outside has changed drastically. The fact that the 6 stellar powerhouses, under the leadership of a newcomer, launched an attack on the Dogula god system caused endless repercussions throughout the surrounding land. After all, there are not many technological things on this planet, and the spies are not very good, so the information is not well informed. As a result, after Jia Yan formed a coalition of 7 stellar powerhouses, there are still many people in the wider area. Many people don't know he exists. But after they started a war with the Dogula god system, some strong people noticed them. However, this kind of attention is still just a little bit of attention. After all, on this huge and strange planet, teams composed of gods or star-level powerful people will be born very often. Especially in terms of stellar level, after all, I don't have much favorable impressions of this planet. The organization comes and goes, and the organization changes very quickly, so no one pays attention to the newly established organization with a strong star level. Attacking a pantheon? What does this mean? If the gods don't start a war with the powerful stars, that would be a strange thing. But when the news came out that Jia Yan and the Dogula gods were fighting head-on, and even killed the 2 gods in an instant, the whole surrounding area was boiling. Because of ordinary wars, the default rules on this planet do not involve top-level combat power. Even if the territory is swallowed up, no one will take action if they can. Anyone with stellar-level combat power has passed countless after working hard to achieve this, who would be willing to lose their life in a place that no one considers their hometown. But Jia Yan, a group of stellar powerhouses, was lucky. Not long after the war started, they directly started fighting with the gods who came to observe the enemy's situation. He also killed the 2 major gods of the pantheon. This is so eye-catching. Jia Yan? His intelligence seems to be very dangerous. Subspace talent? Although his understanding of our gods is not comprehensive, if he slowly masters our information, it may be a huge trouble in the future. This Jia Yan acted so domineeringly that even the people of the Dogula god system gave way to him. He actually killed two great gods. He was probably a domineering guy outside. We should work together to drive this kind of being out of the gods' planet. He actually killed our gods and snatched the divine crystals. In this way, he seems to know the taste by eating the marrow. Although I don't know how he can use the divine crystal of our gods, this guy must be extremely dangerous. Let's secretly support the Dogula god system first, especially the army confronting them. Take it back. One by one, the teams of the gods expressed concern about the confrontation between Jia Yan and Dogula. In particular, some of the pantheon who could not see Jia Yan's attitude toward the gods and even snatched the divine crystals had publicly condemned them. There is even a pantheon that, given the right opportunity, will intervene in the war. However, at this time, there is still no one from the pantheon who has said that it will directly intervene in the war. What happens next may make them regret that they still underestimated Jia Yan's team at this time. Of course, no one would have thought that with a mere 7-star levels, plus a flower god who seemed to be betrayed, and whose news was not very specific, this small team would dare to fight against the entire divine system of the divine star, right? But Jia Yan thought about it. Not only did he think about it, he also did it. Haha, condemnation. Ignore his condemnation, we do our own thing, the ground troops continue to attack, and even a few of you occasionally go out to fight, and it's okay to be scolded by them for intervening in the war. Anyway, we don't play by the cards. Jia Yan saw a group of stellar subordinates in the palace that day. The goddess of flowers stood aside and watched Jia Yan discuss the war with a group of stellar subordinates. Even though she wanted to join this war, Jia Yan thought about it and asked her not to act without permission. After all, the flower god used to be a member of the gods no matter what, and now she is said to be betraying the gods, but in fact she from head to toe, he was still the shadow of a god, nothing close to a star-level powerhouse. Sir, I think I can be of some help. If you think I will show mercy to my former colleagues, don't worry. When the stars dispersed, the flower god hesitated for a while, then stepped forward and spoke to Jia Yan sincerely. She was afraid that Jia Yan would think she was useless, because after seeing Jia Yan's strength and even knowing that he might not have used all his strength in that battle, she understood that she didn't know what other gods were like. But the Dogula pantheon is definitely over. Although she didn't want to fight with her former colleagues, she had other thoughts, that is, while gaining Jia Yan's approval, she would persuade some of her divine sisters who were better at playing in the Dogula god system to surrender. In fact, to put it bluntly, even now, the flower god is still oriented towards the gods. She even thought that Jia Yan would not be a strong man who could stay on this god star for a long time. When he leaves, the gods of this god star will also be removed. The super strong ones are almost wiped out or killed, then she can raise the banner again and become a new god. Maybe by then her strength will be the strongest on the entire planet, and that will be cool. And in that case, if you save a few of your sisters, you will also become Lord Jia Yan's subordinates. Not only will you take advantage of them, but you will also have some people around you to help you. Are you going to the battlefield? Forget it, I'll give you a new task, which is to help me be my messenger against the stellar powerhouses. Jia Yan looked at her, as if he could see through her thoughts, but directly shattered her good wishes. Am I the messenger for the stellar powerhouse? I'm afraid this won't be accepted by stellar powerhouses. Luo Longxi was stunned for a moment, and then she said this anxiously. Her words were not wrong. After all, as a god, she had fought against many star-level creatures before, and even killed a star-level strongman through her cooperation with other gods in the pantheon. In this case, the stellar powerhouse must hate her to death, and they want her to be a messenger. Are they seeking death? Don't worry, there is already news from the astral level. They have shown their eagerness to cooperate. As long as you explain to them, I don't think anyone will want to take your life. Jia Yan looked at Luo Longxi with an indifferent expression, or maybe you just want to fight with your former colleagues. Lawrence, I didn't see that you were such an eager martial artist. Facing Jia Yan's half-smiling expression, Luo Longxi instantly felt a huge amount of pressure, and she quickly lowered her head respectfully. Lord Jia Yan, I would like to be an envoy to the sidereal level. Please give me the order. If she didn't speak quickly, she was afraid that Jia Yan would kill her directly. After all, she had already seen Jia Yan's strength clearly. The guys who were killed by Jia Yan in one blow were almost as strong as her peak. Not to mention that her current strength may not even be half of the peak level. Well, you go ahead. In fact, I know what you think. When you go back, I allow you to send some information to the gods. Of course, it cannot be our intelligence. If you can persuade the gods to surrender, then I will also send some messages to the gods. It will definitely benefit you. Jia Yan is very willing to see the gods surrender, because with the divine crystal, he will not have so many requirements for the crystal of faith. The surrendered gods will speed up the collapse of the god system, so that the suppression time of the entire planet will also be accelerated. Jia Yan has not forgotten that he is now racing against time to suppress the divine system as soon as possible, and at the same time obtain as many divine crystals as possible to improve his own strength, and then he can face the stellar academic team that will definitely pursue him. That is Jia Yan's biggest crisis. Yes, sir, I'll go right away. Luo Longxi's body trembled after hearing Jia Yan's words, because she didn't know that her thoughts were guessed so clearly by Jia Yan. After all her thoughts were in her heart. After the flower goddess retreated, Jia Yan called in several more star-level creatures. You can find it by searching for new books. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1375. Sir, you called us. Two powerful men from the stars entered his palace. Nowadays, his team is no longer that unorganized and loose appearance. Especially after his prestige is further established, the stellar powerhouses are even more impressed by his leadership, so they can command more easily. Now most of the stars are stationed on various battlefields. In these days, you can strengthen your attacks on the Dogula god system. Jia Yan said calmly. Yes, sir, are you ready to start a real war? A star-level powerhouse with a trembling expression on his face. Because they had planned it long ago, the initial war was just to let Jia Yan quickly understand the fighting strength and fighting style of the divine creatures. After all, if they only fought with this kind of mortals, they would wait for the war method later, let alone conquer the entire world. The planet, even the Dogula god system, doesn't know how long it will take. So Jia Yan's idea has always been to fight a hurricane-like blitz at a certain key point. First, we will take down the Dogula divine system, and then we will take some rest in the future, and then we will take down the following divine systems. Of course, at the same time, methods must be used to stabilize the surrounding forces, such as the territories of several major god systems, or a group of stellar powerhouses behind them. It is now the early stage of their development. Even if Jia Yan is powerful, he dare not say that he can really win the battle against a group of gods or stellar powerhouses. Of course, we must also consider that Jia Yan doesn't like putting himself in dangerous situations. He just wants to digest the Dogula divine system now, and his strength will definitely be improved in the future, and then talk about group fights or other things, and he will wait until then. Yes, sir, we will proceed as arranged, but... A star seemed to hesitate to speak. I know what you want to say. Anyway, you guys will fight well for me on the front line. Even if a powerful god appears, I will support you as soon as possible. Don't you still believe in my speed? Jia Yan said calmly to these two stellar powerhouses. No, of course we are assured of your speed, so we will retreat and prepare to fight. The two star classes were respectful to Jia Yan and did not dare to say anything else, because Jia Yan wanted them to engage in a final battle-like approach. They might have to face the siege of divine creatures. After all, facing the Dogula divine system, their number is still too small. If they don't get Jia Yan's help, they will definitely be defeated. Fortunately, since Jia Yan said he would rush to help, he should not break his promise. Because from Jia Yan's previous style, they could see that even if Jia Yan did not always follow his words, he was still very principled in certain matters. After the two-star level creatures retreated, Jia Yan once again focused his energy on sucking the divine crystal. This planet is like a treasure to me. It's a pity. If the team from the Stellar Academy hadn't come after me, I would have been able to develop here for a while longer. Jia Yan's idea is very beautiful. If he still has time, he will not be so anxious to launch a battle against the gods. Instead, he will wait until his strength continues to be stable for a period of time, and even digest the divine crystal in his hand, before he can fight again. Carrying out a war would greatly increase his strength and increase his chances of obtaining more divine crystals. And in the current situation, although it is not bad, it is not a good time for war. The surrounding environment is not good, and with his current strength, there is probably no way to instantly prevent the powerful god's divine crystal from exploding. It makes him heartbroken to think about how many divine crystals he will lose by then. That's right, even if the war hasn't expanded yet, Jia Yan has already regarded the crystals of those gods as his own. Because after an in-depth analysis of the strength of the gods and comparing it with his own, Jia Yan slowly summed up his own set of methods for the strength and restraint of the powerful gods. In future wars, he only needs to use a few battles to defeat them. Once this routine stabilizes, he estimates that if he encounters a powerful god, he will be crushed just like when he encounters an ordinary star. Jia Yan fell into cultivation, but a group of his subordinates were completely opposite. The moment Jia Yan gave the order, the war situation in every aspect suddenly changed. After the yellow sand god was captured by Jia Yan's army, the army once again rushed towards the territory of the next god with the wind of victory. The armies from other areas also divided their forces and rushed towards the territories of several major gods. Crazy. This Jia Yan's army is crazy. Their numbers are so much smaller than ours. They actually dare to charge. They even divide their forces to attack the territories of our great gods. They are looking for death. In a tall and majestic palace, 3 or 4 people, although they did not look very kind-hearted, were roaring with golden light bursting like immortal gods. They are just a few major gods who have territory in a certain area. Now their territory is being threatened by 2 armies from the territory of stellar powerhouses. In fact, there were not many invading armies. It was entirely possible for the strength of their gods to swallow up these 2 armies with their skin and bones, but they did not dare. Because behind these armies, there are 6 stars, and even the existence of Jia Yan who dares to stand in the ranks of their divine gods, kill several times in and out, and still retreat calmly. They didn't dare to go too far and kill the troops brought by the strong stars, and they didn't even know whether to resist. This army has invaded. Are we not allowed to resist? We have to stop it, but we can't start a bloody war and give them a reason for the stellar powerhouses to intervene. Even if there is a real war, we have to wait for a few of our gods. Sir, let's discuss reinforcement contracts with several major gods around us. The major gods negotiated all this, and their mission was announced. Immediately, the army of gods blocking the front of the stellar army turned out to be only equal in number, confronting them. Very good, let's face off like this. I guess such a small army would not dare to take the initiative to attack. When the gods saw the war attitude, they finally breathed a sigh of relief. The longer the confrontation, the happier they are, because as time goes by, reinforcements from the surrounding major gods may arrive. What will Jia Yan be afraid of then? A group of dozens or even half a hundred gods swarmed up and punched the old master to death. He, Jia Yan, didn't want to die. However, the confrontation they originally thought was completely broken one night when they were just relieved that it would not last long. Boom! An extremely shocking shockwave suddenly erupted from the military camp of the Divine Legion. The four powerful gods not far away woke up instantly. What? Stellar-level powerhouses? This, they actually directly use stellar-level powerhouses to fight, this. Of course, a group of god-level powerhouses immediately understood what level the powerhouse who launched the attack was. After all, as beings of the same level, they understood that the attack wave just now was definitely similar in strength to them, and even attacks that can only be used by beings whose strength exceeds theirs. The four great gods, at this moment, just wanted to say a few swear words, sell. They actually took action, and it was a star-level attack on an ordinary biological army, and it was even a sneak attack. This kind of thing can be said to be strong. Who? Of course, regardless of whether there was any danger, the four great gods immediately charged towards the place of battle as a group. What caused the fluctuation there was just the fluctuation of a star-level powerhouse. In my opinion, maybe it was caused by the bull monster that day, and we just happened to avenge the yellow sand god. As neighbors, the four great gods and the yellow sand monster have a good relationship. Now seeing the fluctuations in the battle there, it was actually caused by the cowherd who fought and killed the yellow sand monster. Suddenly, they have a new enemy. With old hatred, I wish I could fly over right away and kill the beetle monster directly. But what surprised them was that the long-horned monster who originally sensed the fluctuations of their four gods should be the first to turn around and run away, but that day the long-horned monster actually sensed their fluctuations, but it still kept going. Launched an attack on the army of gods, in the blink of an eye, except for a few powerful demigods who were still lingering, the entire army of Nyata was killed in front of this star-level existence. Not many people even escaped. After all, in the face of stellar-level combat power, only demigods, or semi-star-level creatures, have certain resistance capabilities. Under a large-scale attack, they are just weaklings whose brains are instantly destroyed by the power of brain waves. This is true even for the saint-level warriors with powerful combat capabilities. You bastard, you are so brave. You dare to kill us when you see us coming. You are seeking death, cowherd. It seems that when we spared your life 10 years ago, you thought we really had nothing to do with you. Come on, we'll kill you now. The four great gods came to Tianyi Alang in an instant and surrounded him. You guys still dare to talk about the war 10 years ago? That time I just didn't have friendly forces, otherwise how could I have been injured by your two gods' sneak attack? Now I've killed your legion, what can you do to me? When Tianyi Alang heard these four gods and talked about his battle with two of them 10 years ago, his expression turned ferocious for a moment. You must know that he was seriously injured in that battle. He used this, it took 10 years to recover. What can we do to you? Do you still think that you can dominate by relying on that Jia Yan? Now our four great gods will kill you on the spot. Let's see what Jia Yan can do. Relying on the gods behind them, the four major gods will successfully negotiate with the other major gods. They will have support in the future, and they are no longer afraid of Jia Yan's words. He will directly sneer and take action. Oh! See what I can do to you. Just when they finished speaking, they suddenly heard a twisted figure slowly coming out of the subspace beside them. Hey, you are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1376. What? This. At this moment, the four powerful gods felt a sudden shock in their heads. They looked at the sudden appearance of the creature in disbelief. In fact, they were relatively careful, but they had just scanned the surrounding space with the kingdom of God. There was no one at all, but now this creature just walked out. But the cowherd who was standing in their circle that day just sneered even colder, as if he had known the scene would happen. However, he still called out with great respect to the creature that suddenly appeared. "I've met Lord Jia Yan." That's right, this creature that suddenly appeared is none other than Jia Yan. The longhorn monster was extremely respectful, and even looked at Jia Yan with a hint of admiration in his eyes. However, even if there were more people around him, at this moment, the four gods felt a loud bang in their heads and did not dare to. They all looked at Jia Yan, who suddenly appeared in disbelief and didn't know what to say. "How is it possible, Jia Yan? How could you avoid detection by our kingdom of God? That is, the attributes of our kingdom of God are complete. Why can you escape our detection?" Several powerful spiritual beings found it difficult to speak with incredible difficulty. "Oh, your kingdom of God has all attributes? It's a joke." Jia Yan smiled and shook his head, but there was no need to answer them. "Okay, now that we have caught some of your big fish, let's officially start our war against the Dogula god system." "No, Jia Yan, this is against the rules." "Yes, rules are everything on this planet. You can't." Several powerful gods were scared to death at this moment, because they knew that the star-level powerhouse named Jia Yan in front of them must be stronger than any of them, and there was also a longhorn monster helping him. Fist, their four great gods, might really fall here. Even if they could escape, only one or two could escape at most. But when they wanted to persuade Jia Yan with affection and courtesy, they suddenly heard Jia Yan's mocking laughter. "Rules? Ha, what a joke, these broken rules will be abolished from now on. From now on this planet, I am the rule." "What? What a loud tone. You are the rule. It makes people laugh. Who do you think you are?" When the four gods heard Jia Yan's words, they even forgot their fear and ridiculed Jia Yan's brazen words. But they had no more opportunities to mock. Buzz. Just when they were about to say something else, a twisted circle exploded inside Jia Yan's body. "This is Jia Yan's domain. No, resist quickly. The speed in this field is so fast. Even if I am prepared, I still can't run away." The four powerful gods could not escape the speed of this domain's release at this moment, and were actually caught in the middle. Buzz buzz. This is the first time that Jia Yan has released his domain on such a large scale since he became a star. After all, after his strength broke through before and he became the late stage of the first level star, he has not fought like this again. Now his strength has been stable for a period of time, and the field has slowly learned more moves and methods of use. It is said that it is not an exaggeration to say that it is the first time in the field to use a crushing attitude to deal with the enemy. Several star-level powerhouses only felt that there were cracks in the space around them, trying to tear them apart completely. Don't be afraid. In my opinion, this field is not perfect yet. He must have never used it before he was promoted to star level. Let's release the kingdom of God. A powerful god with a rather powerful eye immediately saw that Jia Yan's domain was not perfect. Of course the other three gods believe in his words. Divine creatures have this advantage. The more dangerous the situation, the closer the relationship between partners. This is also their biggest advantage against the strong system of the universe. Oh! You can actually see that my field is not perfect enough. I have a good vision, but my field is not such a simple thing. Jia Yan sneered, and his attitude suddenly changed. The huge cracks suddenly became more crazy, and countless space cracks were surging towards the god-level powerhouses of the four cities like crazy. How can it be so fierce? This domain actually has self-destructive power. Isn't it said that the domain of ordinary star-level experts is used to suppress the enemy? His domain actually has attack attributes. How can he fight like this? The four great gods quickly did not dare to hold back, and with a bang, they also used their own divine kingdoms to fight against the Jiayan domain in front of them. Unfortunately, even if they used the divine kingdom, it was clearly visible that the four divine kingdoms were instantly suppressed by the distorted space, and then slowly pressed back to their bodies with a cracking sound. Jiayan actually completely suppressed the four powerful gods by just relying on the release of his domain. My lord is indeed mighty. The cowherd on Jiayan's side was also wrapped in Jiayan's domain. At this time, he did not dare to move at all, and showed no sign of resistance. He stood aside and waved his flag and shouted, "Okay, this is just a test. My field is indeed not perfect yet. Now they are not even 1/10 of the strength in my field. You go over and deal with them. Remember to pay attention to Jing as much as possible." Jia Yan sent a message to the Longhorn monster. "Hey, okay, sir, I'll take care of things, don't worry." The beetle monster's eyes lit up. When Jia Yan said this, he obviously wanted to give him credit. He couldn't be too generous. However, it is useless for Jia Yan to take credit for himself. It seems that this gentleman is still extremely generous. Didn't you just want the four of you to suppress me? Now I'm here, attack me. Tianyi Alang smirked and flew towards the four gods. He was in Jia Yan's domain and did not dare to release the domain. Of course, nor was it suppressed by Jia Yan's domain. And under such circumstances, he knew that Master Jia Yan's domain must be helping him. Even if he faced the four gods, he must have been able to run as far as he saw before, but he was not afraid anymore. In his opinion, Master Jia Yan's field is a field of subspace mutant talents. He has never heard of this kind of field, let alone seen it. Even at this moment, he can't think of any solution method. But he doesn't need to crack it. As a subordinate, as long as he is obedient, is he still afraid that the adults will treat him badly? You, bastard cowherd of heaven, if you have the ability to let Jia Yan go, let's go outside and fight, one-on-one. Even within Jia Yan's territory, a divine creature could still move reluctantly, but it was severely restricted. Now another beetle monster came, and he drowned the beetle monster with an extremely dignified expression. "Why should I fight with you outside? Oh, I'm so stupid. Now I'm going to fight here. I'm against four of you. Let's see if you can beat me." The beetle monster didn't say much and flew forward directly. Even though the four gods were suppressed by Jia Yan's domain, they didn't have much fear. The four of them united and fought against the beetle monster. And Jia Yan on this side is of course not just watching from one side. In fact, he was not so kind when he went to fight with the beetle monster. He was not so delicate that he wanted to take any credit. He was observing the fighting situation of Tianyi Alang, constantly summing up experience and improving his own field. After all, this space talent variant field, even if it is extremely powerful, has great potential, but now it has just gained power, there are definitely many loopholes. Jia Yan's actions alone when the beetle monster attacks the first god, at least 10 holes were felt. These loopholes need to be improved. No, start correcting them now. Jia Yan worked hard to spread his domain to the place where the 5 powerful men fought, and constantly made changes. Domain is the foundation of a star-level powerhouse. The domain that Jia Yan has just formed must be powerful at first glance, but in fact it is very powerful and has too many loopholes, so he didn't step forward just now. Even if he could win the battle, he would definitely not be able to learn more about the loopholes in his field. Now that such a bystander is clearing up the situation, he instantly knows many of his field flaws. While watching the battle, he looks for Shiyuan while correcting the loopholes in the field. This makes Jia Yan even glad that there is no sparring partner of any kind. The combat power of the 5-star levels can help you improve your field, making progress faster, right? The 5 powerful men fighting on one side were violently erupting into battle fluctuations. You must know that this is the combat power of the 5-star level experts. Even though they were enveloped by Jia Yan's domain, their fighting power was still extremely terrifying. Once, Tianyi Alang suddenly used a killing move, and the huge brainwave power even destroyed Jia Yan's domain. A big hole was created, which almost caused the 4 powerful men to escape along that place. Fortunately, Jia Yan quickly mobilized his domain power to repair it. And this scene also allowed him to immediately grasp a huge loophole, and cast an encouraging look at the trembling cowherd who thought he had made a mistake. It seemed like he was being asked to use more force and blast a few more big holes. With Jia Yan's encouragement, the beetle monsters fought without any scruples. And he and the 4 powerful gods slowly discovered that Jia Yan controlled their domain. From the beginning, it only controlled pressure and huge cutting and destructive power. It slowly changed, and many of the original loopholes were slowly repaired. Well, it turns out that the adults asked me to fight with them and improve the field. No matter how stupid the beetle monster is, he now knows that Jia Yan had another purpose in giving him the credit. But even so, he didn't complain or anything. After all, Jia Yan gave him credit, and without Jia Yan's help, he would definitely not be able to defeat the 4 powerful gods. Of course, if he hadn't known about Jia Yan's arrival and hadn't waited for the 4 powerful men to appear, he would have fled directly, so he wouldn't have been so stupid to confront the 4 gods. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1377. In the outside world of the extremely twisted Black Realm, a group of gods from the ancient Dora gods arrived. However, be on guard everywhere. Not all the people from the Dogula god system were present, but there were still 17. Including the 4 people who were besieged in the domain, the number of creatures here alone reached 21. Individual. You must know that this is already most of the number of gods in the Dogula pantheon, which shows how much they value Jia Yan's appearance. Huh? Are you really here, the gods of the ancient Dora gods? Jia Yan can of course easily see the outside world within the realm. Under the attack of the first batch of gods who rushed in, Jia Yan's field, which was not considered stable to begin with, was instantly bombarded by more than 10 brainwaves, causing it to burst instantly. Retreat. Jia Yan's face changed slightly. You must know that even if he is strong, it is only for a single star-level powerhouse. Facing a group of godly powerhouses with star-level strength, he will only die. So at the next moment, in front of a group of gods, he, who was carrying the domain of the 4 powerful gods, actually retreated backwards, twisting and turning, and retreated into the subspace. What? With the domain open, you can retreat into subspace. This is too exaggerated. Don't be afraid, he can't be very flexible in the field. Our kingdom of God can affect the subspace and release the kingdom of God to all members. Yes, a few more people who know about subspace will support the kingdom of God in entering and breaking through his territory. We can't afford to lose 2 more companions this time. One by one, the gods were almost amazed at Jia Yan's domain at this moment, and even felt a sense of fear. You must know that even though they have fought with so many star-level experts, such a weird and terrifying domain, it's the first time I've seen it. Fortunately, the powerful gods are the more comprehensive powerhouses in the kingdom of God, and they also have certain influence on the subspace. When Jia Yan retreated into the subspace, 5 gods suddenly flew out and tore apart the distortion that Jia Yan had just stepped into. Space, rushed in. Behind them, one by one, the gods also displayed their own kingdoms. The kingdoms of more than a dozen gods actually solidified the surrounding space of tens of thousands of kilometers in an instant. You must know that this is a god star with extremely unstable space. They are actually able to do such a thing. It can be seen that there is strength in numbers, and it is also accessible to powerful gods. This was the first time for Jia Yan to confront so many gods head-on. He had never experienced such a big battle before when he faced off against that powerful person from the Stellar Academy. He, who had always been engaged in guerrilla warfare, actually felt great pressure at this moment. Unfortunately, in order to ensure his results, he was not willing to let go of the four great gods inside. Fortunately, the heavenly cowherd in that battle also noticed the changes in the outside world and acted even faster. Your reinforcements are here, I can't play, just die. He used all his strength, and then moved a god. Under his blow, he was suppressed by the domain again, without any resistance at all, and was hit directly. But with this blow, the powerful spirit man was still not dead. My compatriots, I will take the first step, please take care. The powerful spiritual man saw that his strength had almost reached the bottom. At this moment, he flashed an extremely righteous expression, and suddenly, his divine crystal was about to explode. However, this scene was seen by Jia Yan, who controlled the domain. If this explosion went off, it would be impossible for his field to survive. After all, this was the self-destruction of a strong man who had reached stellar-level strength. If you are not careful, all the beetle monsters that are close to you will die and Jia Yan will be seriously injured. Don't even think about it. Jia Yan's body suddenly moved. It's not that he can't attack in this field. On the contrary, in his own field, his attacks should be the most convenient and powerful. The reason why he didn't take action before was because he was holding on to the shaky field and wanted to observe the changes in the field. Otherwise, some of the four great gods might have died. But now that he saw the god preparing to self-destruct, Jia Yan immediately moved. He wants to do it himself. Puff. The god who had just prepared to self-destruct suddenly felt a sharp object in his chest pierce through his chest at the moment when the energy was almost filling the air. This, so fast. He couldn't believe it, and was about to communicate with his divine crystal, but a scene that made him despair appeared. It turned out that the sharp foot that attacked actually used the power of space to move in an instant. During the distortion, it instantly isolated the divine crystal in his body, making it impossible for him to communicate with it. In this way, it would be impossible for him to blow himself up. I am not willing to accept this. With the unwilling roar of this divine creature, he completely lost even the last bit of his life force. The foot that came quickly was naturally the front foot shot by Jia Yan. Hey, this guy is actually at the end, and he almost succeeded in communicating. Fortunately, I am faster. Jia Yan was sweating, and he almost thought he was going to fail. After all, this was the self-destruction of a star-level fighter. He took the risk to stop it. His success was partly due to luck. And he moved the domain and attacked distractedly. Under such circumstances, the already shaky domain actually became a little loose. The remaining three gods were frightened out of their wits when they saw that their compatriot who had risked all his life could not even self-destruct in front of Jia Yan. When they saw a slight loosening in the realm, they quickly released their attack power with all their strength. The power of divine creatures is because their ability to join forces is extremely impressive, especially since their divine kingdoms are almost all very similar, so there is almost no conflict when attacking. Puff. In the twisted field, the tiny distortions were destroyed by the three people working together. It's broken, great, let's go. The three gods were almost overjoyed at this moment, thinking that they could escape. Want to leave? Oh, ask me first. And when a powerful spiritual man thought that he could escape from this terrifying space realm, behind him, a figure who didn't know how fast he reached appeared in an instant. How could it be so fast? This god was almost out of his mind. He had never thought that the master of the release field could achieve such speed within this field. Yes, it was Jia Yan who came here. Jia Yan's speed has always been his strength, so when he was building the field some time ago, he carefully calculated the problems in his field. The slightest cracks in the field may be a huge obstacle to others, but for him, it is an acceleration method that can speed up the speed. If he hits a crack, he can speed up a little, but with hundreds, thousands, or even hundreds of millions of cracks, Jia Yan himself can't adapt to this speed. Of course, it is not that simple to reach the peak speed. Let alone whether it can be accelerated, even Jia Yan doubts whether he can adapt to that terrifying speed. But all of this is a matter for future testing. At least this speed is enough to deal with the powerful god who wants to escape. The powerful spiritual man had no way to react to the instant attack. When Jia Yan came to his side, he only had time to be startled, and then he felt a sharp forefoot pierced into his body. I won't blow myself up like that guy again. This spiritual powerhouse can be regarded as strong-willed. The moment he felt Jia Yan's attack, he suddenly activated his divine crystal. It's a pity that even if he reacted quickly at Jia Yan's speed, he still couldn't react quickly at the speed of Jia Yan's domain blessing. He just felt an astonishing space force that completely knocked him out. A divine crystal was isolated in his body, as if it were sealed, leaving him with no possibility of self-destruction. Will. When the divine crystal is separated from the body, to the gods, it is like ordinary creatures losing their hearts. At least the elementary gods have no possibility of survival at all. So after losing the divine crystal, I went to Shuyuan. This spiritual powerhouse suddenly became weak and died immediately. Run, run, run. But that's all Jia Yan could do. The remaining two powerful gods quickly escaped along the cracked realm when Jia Yan attacked the god. Well, with my current domain and strength, I still can't quickly deal with them. Jia Yan suddenly understood his current field and strength. But he was satisfied enough to have such strength. If that group of divine beings hadn't arrived, these four great spirits would have definitely been his and the Longhorn monsters. And just outside Jia Yan's broken domain, the five great gods who fled into the subspace also arrived. Together with the two escaped gods, 7 powerful gods confronted Jia Yan in the subspace. Behind Jia Yan, the beetle monster is holding onto its own power field, barely resisting the twisted space around him. He is not a powerful god. He is not gifted in subspace, so he came to the twisted subspace in person. It's not impossible in space, but it's very difficult. Sir, what should we do now? The Longhorn monster felt its blood surging all over. You must know that this was an act of 2 people fighting almost the entire divine system alone, and they also killed 2 major gods. Speaking of this, it was something that could shock the entire divine planet. Forget it, let's retreat first, they don't dare to pursue us. Jia Yan sneered. Then he released his own domain, wrapped up the cowherd beside him, made him save effort, and slowly left from the back of the subspace. Should we pursue it? The 7 great gods just stood in the subspace. The surrounding distortions were covered by the power of their divine kingdom and turned into colorful colors. Just looking at their appearance, it was not easy to maintain such a change. All the gods looked solemn. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1378. Apex School Bag. Chasing. Haha, this Jia Yan is too strong. Let's go back. He actually killed 2 more compatriots. Just like what I thought before, with this Jia Yan here, it is almost impossible for our divine system to deal with him alone. A god who seemed to have the highest status said this to the remaining gods. You two, go back and meet with us. Specifically, we can analyze the tactics of the battle with Jia Yan. This god ordered the 2 gods who were still in shock. The 2 great gods seemed to be frightened, because the 4 great gods were almost wiped out by the appearance of a strong man named Jia Yan. If it weren't for nearly 20 partners from the divine system, come to the rescue, maybe they will all die. Alas, the god who spoke the words let out a long sigh when he saw the two companions looking like this. To be able to scare two great gods into such a state, Jia Yan's strength must be truly extraordinary. So next, knowing that the Dogula god system faces this terrifying powerhouse, what should we do? It was really scary to go out. That Jia Yan was able to kill the two besieged gods in front of them, and then calmly retreated. This strength is almost the same even if he has not reached the mid-level star level. Is it big? This god was not wrong. He even suspected that Jia Yan's strength was close to the mid-level star. In fact, he slightly underestimated Jia Yan's combat ability. In fact, in the battle that Jia Yan showed up today, he mainly used domain warfare, which he was not yet proficient in. If he used the subspace wandering tactics he was accustomed to, it was foreseeable that none of the four strong men who had come before would be defeated. Able to escape. It's just that Jia Yan didn't really value these two small battles. Even if he didn't kill a single god this time, he would be satisfied as long as he verified his combat effectiveness and discovered new tactics. In this battle, not only did I test my field battle method, but I also gained 2 divine crystals. Is this an unexpected surprise? Jia Yan looked at the 2 divine crystals floating in front of him and smiled faintly in his heart. Through this battle, he gained more understanding of his improved combat effectiveness and understanding of the fighting methods of gods. After such a battle, he is confident that his strength will be greatly improved in the next few days. When the new combat power in the field is optimized, it is estimated that even if he is besieged by the powerful Dogula gods, he will not be too scared. Jia Yan quickly took the Longhorn monster back to the palace behind the battlefield. Here, there are already several star-level experts waiting for them. Sir, how is the war going? Master Jia Yan, the explosive power just now is really terrifying. We can't help but go over to join the battle. Fortunately, we can still feel your power, otherwise we would all be dying of panic. Several stars are now tied to a boat by Jia Yan. If they lose their leader Jia Yan after such a large-scale operation, they will definitely be hunted down everywhere on this planet. Exists. Haha, are you worried? What a worry, you didn't witness the battle just now. Lord Jia Yan is too fierce. One person can only control 4 domains, and there are 17 others blocking the outside. We can do it casually. He was blocked by a wave of killing attacks. If I hadn't seen that there are still some flaws in the Master's field, maybe one person could fight against their 21 gods, my god. The beetle monster seemed to be drunk and almost spoke at the highest volume he could. He had just witnessed Jia Yan and him fighting together, and his admiration for Jia Yan had almost reached its peak. You must know that when they fought against a powerful god in the past, even if they had an advantage, they would just fight and run away. Generally, they had to wait until the power of the powerful god weakened before they could defeat them. Killing them was almost impossible, because the gods are very united. In the middle of the fight, just like before, helpers will come to help, and the ones who escape in the end are usually strong stars. And what about Jia Yan? He swore just now that his cooperation with Jia Yan was the most enjoyable battle he had ever fought in his life. Even if he did not directly kill any of the gods, he could fight against the 4 powerful gods in one go without even needing too much time. Afraid of the gods outside, this was a refreshing feeling that he had never experienced before. Ju, actually fighting head-on with 21 gods. Oh my god. Several stellar-level people on the side were also shocked by the words of the Longhorn monster. Even though they were strong astral-level people and could vaguely feel the battle situation from such a distance, it was still impossible for them to see it with their own eyes. When they see the same details, especially such a process, they can't believe it even if they perceive it from a distance. Fighting against the 21 powerful gods, this kind of fighting power is only what a mid-level star creature can do, right? Your Excellency also killed 2 gods. Such strength is truly astonishing. A group of stellar powerhouses were originally only forcibly pulled onto the warship by Jiayan. However, during the war some time ago, even if they were still a little dissatisfied with Jiayan, these dissatisfactions gradually disappeared. Already impressed by Jiayan's personal charm and fighting ability, now he made such a terrible battle result for the first time after not taking action for a long time. In an instant, this group of stellar powerhouses who had blindly followed Jiayan suppressed the entire divine star divine power. I believe the words of the speaker more and more. Of course, it would be too difficult to do such a thing. Even if Jiayan's strength is now estimated to be at a certain level, they will need better assistance. Okay, now I will continue to retreat for a while. Regarding the war, you should relax for 2 days, and let the Dogula god system relax a little. We don't have a general trend now, and it won't be beautiful if they jump over the wall in a hurry. That's it? Jiayan didn't have any proud look on his face, he simply announced to the group of stars, and then walked into the palace. After Jiayan left, a group of star-level stars instantly surrounded the Longhorn monster who fought with Jiayan. Everyone was extremely curious about Jiayan's strength and how powerful he was, and they kept asking questions. At the same time, they all felt extremely envious that Tianyi Alang could fight side by side with Jiayan. You must know that Jiayan's image in their hearts has been rising faster and faster. They felt envious of the treatment of the long-horned monsters. Listening to the words behind him, Jiayan smiled without any surprise. Stellar-level powerhouses are also living beings, and they also have emotions and desires. The reason why they show such indifference and otherworldliness in front of ordinary living beings is that nothing about ordinary living beings can affect them. But what is different about Jiayan now is that their leader, not to mention, is far more powerful than them. Under such circumstances, it is not inconceivable that this group of subordinates have worshipped and sighed for him. Okay, now let me quickly analyze the general formation of the field and the way to continue to improve it based on the battle just now. It has not been long since I have just used the field battle. It is not too late to make major changes in the prototype. When I completely stabilize my fighting method, it will be difficult to change it again. Wanting to change the domain as soon as possible was one of the reasons why Jiayan ended the battle hastily. It was not that he had no ability to continue to entangle with a group of gods, but that there was no benefit in entangling. After all, with such a large number, he wanted to destroy them again. It is difficult to kill 1 or 2 gods. And it is not advisable to fight too much in the field, otherwise it will slowly form a bad prototype and it will be difficult to adjust in the future. Jiayan estimated that the group of gods who fought against him, or his group of subordinates, did not expect that even with Jiayan's current strength, the field was still undefined. Wait until the next time he sees Jiayan using the modified realm, I guess their eyes will pop out of fear, right? Today's battle was a success and a success. With 2 divine crystals, my cultivation plan can continue quickly again. Jiayan was extremely happy and took out 2 divine crystals. Even though these 2 divine crystals looked the same, Jiayan actually still felt that the sense of power contained in them was different. This is just like a star-level powerhouse. Although they are all star-level powerhouses after training, their attributes and fighting talents are actually different, right? However, as far as the powerful gods are concerned, the difference between them is not as huge as that of the powerful ones in the universe, because their power comes from the crystal of faith. The difference is not that big, and the diversity is not that big. Just bad. And this is probably the real reason why the divine beings are so targeted, that even though there are many powerful people in the galaxy, they are still trapped in the realm of the spirits for so many years, right? Since there are different attributes, I will try them all, and by the way, the field will continue to be strengthened and improved. For example, the problem of being attacked instantly needs to be solved. The fact that you can't be distracted from fighting when you are trapped also needs to be solved. Jia Yan thought about what he was going to do next and quickly entered a state of practice and pondering. On the other hand, a star-level expert is extremely surprised and thinks that the future can be expected. The Dagola divine system, which is confronting Jia Yan, has a completely different feeling. Dead silence, this is the current state of the Dagula pantheon. Most of the gods had personally participated in the previous battle, and even 2 of them had been directly besieged by Jia Yan's domain. So, does Jia Yan's strength really reach this level? On the high platform, the 2 strongest men of the Dagula god system who did not participate in this battle looked at the group of participants below with extremely solemn expressions and asked slowly. Yes, I have been besieged by his domain. I have never heard of this kind of domain. Although I know that it should be a domain that evolved from some kind of subspace talent, the owner of the subspace talent was originally in our area. He is rare in an area of more than 10,000 light-years. In addition, he is an extraordinary domain expert. I dare to believe that his strength has almost reached the peak level of a star. This chapter has a little more words, so it's a gift to everyone. Please support the new book Wild Escape Female Anchor, thank you. Apex School Bag. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1379. Apex School Bag. A powerful spiritual man who had been besieged by Jia Yan analyzed Jia Yan's strength with great difficulty. And his words made all the powerful gods around him suddenly look more solemn. You must know that it is rare to see a strong person with subspace talents in this area, let alone a strong person who has reached the stellar level and has a unique space field. But before the other gods could come up with any insights or solutions, the besieged god actually said something that made them even more speechless. And, I feel that Jia Yan's domain is not as stable as other stellar powerhouses, but is still in a state of great potential development. That is, after this battle, the field is expected to be even stronger. He couldn't make any noise anymore even if he was doing it himself. The powerful gods around him were also silent at this moment, unwilling to speak. Even though there are still a few talented people who are ready to come up with a cracking method, after hearing such a guess, they did not show their shame, because they know that as god-level powerhouses, the group of gods here, except for the 2 leaders on the high platform, in addition, the other strength differences are not much different. Since the trapped person himself is like this, then there is probably nothing wrong. Jia Yan's strength is already ferocious enough, but he will actually improve in the future? They had no other words to say except silence, because in this kind of situation, what else is good? Well, let's divide our troops into several groups and quickly tell the surrounding gods about Jia Yan's strength so that they can quickly form an alliance with us. Otherwise, it will be too late. The living dragon god on the high platform finally came up with this opinion and spoke to the subordinates of the gods below. Yes. All the gods sighed, this could be the case. Even for such an urgent alliance, their gods would definitely have to pay a huge price, but it would be better than being destroyed by those star-level powerhouses, right? Fortunately, the advantage of the divine system is that everyone's mobility is not bad. A group of gods quickly completed the division of labor, asked for help, and negotiated alliances. In short, the entire divine system was because of Jia Yan's stellar alliance. And there was great movement. However, they made a lot of noise, and the movement on Jia Yan's side was also not small. Is this the palace of your lord Jia Yan? Haha, Tianyi Alang, don't blame me for misunderstanding, this palace is yours at all, right? Did you actually give it to this lord? It seems that he is just a wanderer. That's all, even your own foundation must be snatched away from your subordinates. One day, a man with a body of 1.5 kilometers, accompanied by the slightly smaller figure of the Longhorn monster, arrived at the base camp of Jia Yan's army. And this base camp was originally the palace of the Longhorn monster. The owner of this huge body had also been here before, and he couldn't help but sarcastic words at this time. "You bastard, how dare you disrespect my family?" The beetle monster's demeanor changed. As a creature that had fought side by side with Jia Yan, he had already developed an admiration for Jia Yan. At this moment, he actually saw an outsider being so disrespectful to his leader, and his anger suddenly rose. However, before the beetle monster could launch any attack on this creature, a brainwave force from dozens of kilometers away seemed to have crossed the distance in an instant and came to the strong man's side. Boom! The huge figure seemed to be suddenly enveloped by an astonishing force, and a series of cutting artistic conceptions appeared beside him. "What's this? Asshole, why can't I break it?" The 1.5 kilometer long creature was first startled by the rapidly approaching attack at this moment, and then he started to attack with a sneer, only to find that he could not break through the brain that surrounded him no matter what. Wave force circle. This is. Tian Nialang was also stunned, but he soon discovered that this circle-like thing was very similar to the domain of the adult he had come into contact with before, and he immediately knew who was unleashing the attack. "I've met Master Jia Yan," Tian Nialang quickly bowed respectfully in the direction of the palace. Then he turned around and spoke lightly to the creature that was trapped in the circle but could not escape. "Okay, don't struggle anymore. This is my master's personal action. You can't escape. If you are sensible, you should quickly admit your mistake to my master. Maybe many of my masters will correct your slip of the tongue." "Chia, Master Jia Yan, please spare your life." Even if the stellar powerhouse knew the so-called Lord Jia Yan, he probably wouldn't kill his envoy just because of this matter, but the other party's strength really surprised him. He quickly begged. Snort. The user of the brainwave power snorted coldly, and then the brainwave power retreated away like a tide. "It's terrible. Is this the strength of your family?" The triumphantly liberated creature no longer dared to underestimate the so-called Jia Yan, and looked at the cowherd beside him with lingering fear. "Of course, my master's strength is probably invincible on this divine planet. Of course, I have never seen him use his full strength." When Tian Nialang was like this, he felt his face was hot, because he had seen Jia Yan's strength before, but he didn't know that Jia Yan's real fighting method was roaming combat. If he was based on his strength at that time, he would probably be far away from this planet. The strongest, maybe a little bit worse. But now that the loser does not lose the formation, of course he is talking nonsense. And he didn't lose either. "Hey, by the way, why did I feel that the strength that the Lord used just now was not used last time? Could it be that it is a new ability that the Lord has just realized? It shouldn't be. How can a strong man's combat strength be possible? I figured it out casually." The beetle monster was also surprised by the power of the remote control that Jia Yan had just used. He had not seen Jia Yan use similar power last time. If such strength had been used last time, it is estimated that at least one of the two powerful gods who escaped would have perished. "Okay, let's go over and discuss the alliance. I don't think I'll see you anymore. He needs to practice." The beetle asked the huge divine creature to follow him to the palace. But this time, the creature no longer dared to be presumptuous, but was cautious everywhere. "You must know that Mr. Jia Yan is not far from him. If he says something bad, he will just listen to it. If he arrives, then he will never die again. After all, he is also a strong man." From the feeling just now, he understood that this strong man, even if his strength is not the first on the planet of the Longhorn monster, is definitely the first level. "Okay, now you friends, have been staying in the rear area for a long time. Are you willing to do some big things with my family?" The Longhorn monster calmly stood in a corner of the palace and started talking with this huge creature. I really can't agree to your request. After all, we star-level experts are at a disadvantage when fighting against the gods, and your master's words are to drive out the gods. This has touched the whole world. We friends really don't dare to get involved in the overall situation of the planet. It turns out that this huge star-level powerhouse represents several star-level creatures and came to Jiayan to observe the strength here. Of course, he now knows deeply that the strength of Jiayan is really unparalleled, but he still feels that he does not trust the alliance. The star-level creatures on this planet are all ordinary acquaintances. There is no divine system of divine creatures, and there is not much mutual trust, let alone allowing other star-level powerful people to become one's own subordinate. Of course, it is very simple for people like Jiayan to suppress with strength, but no matter how strong they are, it is impossible to rely on such a method to make all the star-level experts on the entire planet rely on them, right? Jiayan actually didn't want all star-level creatures to listen to him, he just wanted some to deal with ordinary powerful gods. Let's do this. On behalf of my family, I will double the benefits promised to you. Moreover, my family will not ask for a single share of the future territory. We will not take your share, and we will even give you half more. How about this? After the beetle monster was silent for a while, it said these words with great solemnity. Huh? Are your adults willing to give away all the territory? I understand, he is not planning to stay on this planet for a long time. In this case, it is not impossible for us to consider it. The eyes of that huge star-level creature suddenly lit up. After the two parties discussed for a while, he stood up and left with satisfaction. During this negotiation, even though this creature was worried about Jiayan being by his side, he argued with reason and finally left with satisfaction. Coupled with the strength shown by Jiayan, he also understood that Jiayan's attempt to save the lives of their several stellar friends was not without purpose, and he was even more satisfied. If nothing else, there is no obstacle to this alliance. My lord, I am fortunate to have lived up to my fate. When this behemoth left, the bull monster came to the center of the hall that day, where there was already the shadow of a huge flying creature, faintly prostrate here. He is Jiayan. That huge mosquito face and his piercing eyes made him feel suffocatingly powerful. Sir, you are indeed powerful. The cowherd looked happy. Well, very good. I heard what happened just now. You did a good job, Jiayan nodded. By the way, I will increase your share in the future since he is a hero, Jiayan will certainly not treat him badly. Thank you, sir. The beetle monster's eyes also lit up. To put it bluntly, stellar powerhouses most of the time act for their own benefit, and even Jiayan is no exception. At this moment, he was first conquered by Jiayan with his strength, and now he can still gain a lot of benefits. Stay away from the beetle monster, not a blessing in disguise. After seeing off the longhorn monster, Jiayan's eyes became even brighter. The war is about to begin. 8. Apex School Bag. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1380. This is already the third batch of stellar-level creatures brought by a group of stellar-level experts. When the first two teams came, they were absolutely extremely resistant to this apparently new stellar powerhouse. After all, there are only so many huge interests on this planet, and there is one more powerful man. Otherwise, they may be able to share certain benefits, not to mention that Jiayan's location is very close to them. But when they learned that Jiayan's real idea was to drive out all the gods on the planet, or even kill them, they all seemed to have heard some ridiculous words and felt that Jiayan was crazy. Of course they have such an illusion, because according to the current distribution of forces on the divine star, not to mention a mere elementary powerhouse from a star, even a weaker mid-level creature would not dare to wipe out the entire planet. And Jiayan, who is only at the beginning level of strength, actually dares to speak out wild words. After all, as stellar-level creatures, They have always believed that even if a strong person of the same level is stronger than others of the same level, it is impossible for them to reach the level of heaven-defying proportions. But the two major user teams in front have already seen, or felt personally, the strength of Jia Yan. At that moment, the words in their minds were, sell. Because they had never thought that a strong man with fluctuations in strength, who was obviously a star at the beginning level, could actually have such terrifying strength. Even his greatest weapon was his weird field strength. As long as the field moved, they would be defeated. Severe suppression. As for the huge star class that came this time, it might be another version that came out when he went back, because what he felt was not Jia Yan's domain power, but another one he created with the power of his brain waves. He didn't recognize the powerful ability to control people. Anyway, looking back, Jia Yan's strength would probably be raised to a higher level by those outside star-level creatures, right? This group of outside creatures doesn't know how strong Jia Yan is now. In fact, not only them, but also the Longhorn Monster, a star-level strongman who has been appointed by Jia Yan as his confidant, are all worried about Jia Yan's strength. Feeling confused. After all, like those strong men, he felt that Jia Yan's strength changed every 3 days. After the last battle, it seemed that Jia Yan's strength was on a rocket and he improved rapidly. The power of the domain was also changing. Even this time, he felt that Jia Yan's brainwave power to control people was actually a mutant power of the domain. However, he had never heard of this ability, and he had never seen Jia Yan before. Rock used. It's normal for them to be confused. Because all this progress in strength is the rapid improvement of Jia Yan's strength after the last battle. They are strong men who have never experienced Jia Yan's terrifying talent and strength improvement speed. It is normal for them to be confused. If the strong men in the genius battlefield came over, they would probably know that the person with such rapid improvement in strength is Jia Yan. They should at least it will feel slightly normal. The improvement in strength that battle brought to me cannot be underestimated. Therefore, at a critical moment, having a big battle is also a very good choice. Jia Yan looked at his body with great joy. Now, because he has used the power of several divine crystals, although he has not fully digested them, he has already felt the attribute changes in these divine crystals, which have brought him great strength improvement. Perhaps Jia Yan has had few cosmic powerhouses who can directly absorb the divine crystal over the years, so the divine crystal's sense of a system that is somehow different from that of star-level powerhouses has also been absorbed by him. I have also borrowed some of the attributes of the kingdom of God. The method I just used is one of the manifestations of similar borrowing effects. Jia Yan had a smile in his eyes, knowing that his strength had suddenly reached another level in the past few days. Originally, I thought that when the team from the Stellar Academy came over, I would continue to run for my life. But now it seems that as long as my strength improves a little more, maybe I don't have to be too afraid. Even if I still have to run away in the end, maybe I won't be able to escape. Only after I can teach them a lesson can I escape. Jia Yan is very clear about the strength of the Stellar Academic team. He also knows that even if he has improved his strength now, he will still not be the opponent of the Stellar mid-level powerhouse. There will even be a huge difference. After all, a Stellar mid-level is a Stellar mid-level, and that mid-level strong man is by no means as simple as an ordinary Stellar mid-level, so Jia Yan did not expect to be able to defeat him. But with his possible strength in the future, if he doesn't panic when the time comes, he might be able to kill a few more star-level warriors, and then use his subspace talent to escape. If it can be done, it will definitely be another huge blow to the chasing opponent. Of course, that's what I think, but it will depend on the specific situation at that time. It's just that he has become stronger, and he will no longer be so afraid. After all, although he escaped from the group of pursuers last time and killed several of them, Jia Yan knew that if he is not careful, the possibility of his death is still very high at that time. But things are different now. If given the chance, he might be able to give them another blow. Sir, several stellar teams have responded to our alliance. Just 2 days after Jia Yan continued to improve his strength, a soft female voice came from outside the palace. This is the messenger that Jia Yan sent to the stellar territory to communicate and persuade. He is also a figure that Jia Yan did not trust too much, but now he is slowly feeling reassured by his abilities. She is none other than the flower goddess Luo Longxi. As a powerful god, Jia Long originally wanted her to communicate with stellar-level creatures, but she would definitely be looked down upon. Maybe she would be attacked by stellar-level strongmen who were hostile to the gods. And this kind of thing actually happened. When Luo Longxi went on her first mission, even if she sent a greeting, she was still hunted down by the strong men from the 2-star level territories until her divine crystal almost broke. After she sent a request for help to Jia Yan, who had actually known about the scene for a long time, took action at the last moment. And that action was the reason why there would no longer be any hindrance to Luo Longxi's future actions. Because Jia Yan directly killed the 2-star level creatures who dared to pursue and kill his subordinates without mercy at all. Therefore, during the next mission, even though Luo Longxi was still not welcomed, she still received a very high level of reception. Even some stellar powerhouses gave Luo Longxi some small gifts even if they were unwilling to do so. Longxi, let her let go of herself. Of course, she sent many of those small gifts to Jia Yan. Very good. In a short period of time, you have already completed missions to all the surrounding star-level territories. I never thought that you could complete this task so quickly. Jia Yan looked at the female god indifferently. After all, she was in 2 different fields of strength. Even though Jia Yan didn't have much sense of belonging to the star-level powerhouse, that feeling was the same as the deep feeling of facing the god. Disgust is completely different. Therefore, even though he has been dealing with this flower god for a long time, he still has a certain distance. Sir, I have completed your mission and know your strength. Now can you let me contact a few good sisters? I will let them understand your greatness and let them surrender to you like me. Go Jia Yan nodded lightly. Anyway, it is impossible for him to really swallow the entire god star in one breath. At this time, if he wants to quickly expand his results, it is not impossible to recruit a certain number of gods as subordinates like Luo Longxi. Lawrence stepped back with tears in her eyes and breathed a long sigh of relief. You must know that as a god, she is an existence that no one wants to see when it comes to Jia Yan. Even Jia Yan, who accepts her as his subordinate, treats her without pretense. After all, the system is different, and she understands it. I will go over now and ask several sisters to join Master Jia Yan. Master Jia Yan is so powerful. When he completely rules this planet, maybe we sisters can still share the huge benefits. Otherwise, now I am alone, and I feel too lonely and weak around adults. Luo Longxi thought very far, and even after these days of observation, she felt that with Jia Yan's strength, it was really possible to dominate this divine star, and it wouldn't even take long, so she made a good calculation. First of all, she was really worried about those divine sisters, because once the war started, they would definitely not be able to last long under the attack of Jia Yan's strength, so it would be better to surrender like her. Another advantage is that she also wants to create a small group of gods with Jia Yan, which can at least give her a few more companions in the team of strong men surrounded by stars. Not long after, in the land of Nadala ancient god system, 3 female gods gathered together in secret. Look, this is a message from Relancy. You should have received it too, right? A woman who looked like an orc said solemnly to the several female gods on the side. I also received it. Will this be Luo Longxi's plan to help Jia Yan eliminate us? I don't think so. I still understand Luo Longxi's temper. She is more fond of memories, and she is also in an isolated and helpless situation with Jia Yan now. It is true that she wants a few partners. Then we. Several female gods looked at each other, especially the sentence describing Jia Yan's strength in Luo Longxi's letter. After reading it several times, they solemnly discussed a charter one by one. Let's just say that since we want to surrender, we must first achieve some results. We happen to be still in this divine system, so we will do something when the time comes. That's right, we females don't have a very good feeling about this god system. Their males always come to harass us. Several female gods actually don't value their own gods that much. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1381. On this day, a group of stellar powerhouses under Jia Yan gathered together with Luo Longxi, the flower god who seemed to be unreasonable, and held a meeting. Sir, as I said, before he retreats this time, we can discuss and resolve any major issues ourselves. Now that God system is frantically contacting other God systems. Let's see if we have to respond to this. Tianyi Alang has become the person with the highest reputation in Jia Yan's team, even though he is actually just the first captive to be suppressed by Jia Yan's power. My personal suggestion is that I have just received a route for them to contact the gods. I will go there to attack the gods later and kill them by then. They will not worry about their subsequent contacts with other gods. A lot of. I second the motion. I also agree. All the gods agreed with the cowherd's suggestion. Anyway, there was nothing wrong with this suggestion. It was certainly a good thing to give face to the cowherd. The flower god was on the side and heard that so many star-level creatures agreed with the cowherd's opinion. I couldn't hold back a word and finally said it. Lord Tianyi Alang, I would like to make some comments. Oh? It's Lord Flower God, tell me. The heavenly cowherd seemed unhappy with the flower god for interrupting his speech, but he looked again and saw another one standing at the conference table who didn't look that tall and was far weaker than them. Even after being a creature that had no right to speak, he still did not taunt the flower god. Because even if the bystander creature is only a sub-level, even if he doesn't even have the right to speak, their star-level experts will nod and bow when they see him. He is Jia Yan's absolute confidant, the scorpion tribe's best. This scorpion creature doesn't seem to have much power now, but no one among their several stars dares to offend this tiny creature who has followed Jia Yan for a long time. Bess saw several stars looking at him and quickly smiled. After all, even if he could speak in front of Jia Yan, he actually knew that his authority was completely gone. These adults, if he really wanted to kill him, he might kill Master Jia Yan without saying anything, so he didn't dare to be disrespectful. This creates a wonderful balance. Of course, the flower god is speaking in the current situation. Lord Tianyi Alang, please call me Luo Longxi. I have given up my title of flower goddess. Luo Longxi clearly understands the essential gap between herself and these stellar creatures, and now of course she wants them to let go of their stereotypes about her. Okay, just say it, Lawrence. It's like this. As a former god who has been in the Dogula pantheon for a long time, I know the affairs of their pantheon quite clearly. There are a few people with pretty good minds in it. What I want to ask is, could this intelligence be a ploy by them to invite you into the urn? Haha, Luo Longxi, you don't even know what kind of intelligence system I use, but you actually doubt my intelligence. Humph, is the general still thinking about the life of your godly friend? After hearing this, the longhorn monster no longer had any good impression of Luo Longxi. In his opinion, he had finally presided over a meeting and task, and it was an important moment to show off to Lord Jia Yan. Unexpectedly, Luo Longxi actually refuted him in front of so many star-level powerhouses. His face was dull. Well, I'm not doubting your lord, I'm just giving you some advice. Of course, your lord's plan is a good one. If there's nothing suspicious about the information, it can still be implemented. Luo Longxi quickly lowered her head. There must be no problem with the information. That is a chess piece that I have buried for decades. Even he himself should have almost forgotten his undercover identity. But I have my own way to get his information. After Tianyi Alang said these words, he waved his hands impatiently. Okay, since everyone agrees with my plan, let's get ready. I will dispatch 3-star level experts in a moment, and I will lead the team. Go and kill the contact spirit. Not long after, 3-star level creatures, led by the cowherd, flew quickly towards a certain direction. No, I always feel that this mission will be an accident. If they die in battle, it will definitely be harmful to your future arrangements. Luo Longxi watched the 3 powerful star-level men leave, bit her teeth, then turned her head and said to the scorpion creature Bess on the side, I want to see you, sir, is that okay? After some time, on a land of sand sea, 3-star level experts were flying slowly into the sky filled with yellow sand. It's strange here. Our speed is actually affected. Although I have known about the existence of the sandy land for a long time, is this really a suitable place for a sneak attack? A star-level creature asked the 2-star-level experts on the side with some surprise. Don't worry, we will be affected by such a scene, and the god we are waiting for will be affected even more. Otherwise, why would I choose this place for a sneak attack? Tianyi Alang didn't seem to take it seriously. After all, he was extremely confident in the source of his intelligence. Tianyi Alang, don't be like what Luo Longxi said. There may be something wrong with your intelligence. Another star level said to Tian Cowherd that he didn't feel that he believed it. There can be no problem. That guy is the core waiter of the Dogula god system. He didn't even know about the listening device I planted in his stomach before. How could there be any problem? I see. Under such circumstances, there should be no problem with the information. Haha, we are timid. After hearing the words of the cowherd, the 2 astral levels finally completely let go of their worries. As they said, the eavesdropping method hidden in the belly of a creature is not easy to detect even with the current cosmic technology. The 3 stellar level creatures picked a place where yellow sand is located. This is actually a place where space distortion and magnetic field disorder are located. Although there is not much worth studying, it is a place that can affect stellar-level powerful people. A terrifying natural place, so ambush in such a place is actually a good choice. Okay, now we just wait for the use to come back. The beetle monster and the 2-star level creatures were calmly preparing to hide. Haha, waiting for the messenger? You guys are really stupid. There's no way you could have waited. Now it's us who are waiting. After the cowherd said those words that day, a group of laughing voices sounded from not far away from them. Who? How come? The 3 stars, like kittens whose tails were stepped on, jumped up one by one and aimed at the surrounding space. Haha, we used a little trick and actually forced 3 of you to come. This time we will kill at least 2 of you to avenge you for killing so many of our companions in the past. What came was actually 10 powerful gods. At this moment, they were hiding in the yellow sand and distortion, so that none of the 3-star level creatures were aware of their existence. No, there really is an ambush. Lord Longhorn Monster, this. The faces of the 3-star level experts here all changed. At this moment, the beetle monster's expression changed drastically. This, can't do it? Let's escape separately. One of us can escape. The beetle monster said these words quickly, and then escaped before the 2 stellar powerhouses could react. You bastard, you actually ran away without even saying a word. At this moment, the 2-star level stars suddenly sensed the long-horned monster escaping. After being startled, they became furious. Let's not separate. 2 of us are better than 1. The 2 stars did not escape separately like the longhorn monster, but got together. When the gods behind them quickly approached, they also increased their speed and fled frantically. Haha, you can't escape. It was fun to beat us before, wasn't it? This time at least 2 of you 3 will die here. The 10 gods who are chasing from behind, and the 3 stellar powerhouses who are escaping from the front, did not chase too fast, because this huge yellow sand area is tens of thousands of kilometers long, and the flying speed of the star level here is not as fast as an ordinary sub-level, so he could chase these 3 guys to death. And when they said to kill 2, they didn't really only want to kill 2, but they wanted these 3. They really thought that at least one person could escape, so they didn't resist so fiercely. After all, the 3 powerful stars, or, if they join forces, the 10 gods will have to spend a certain amount of energy. When these 3 stellar powerhouses were besieged, the flower goddess on the other side also made her own judgment and asked to see Jia Yan, who was in retreat. Lord Jia Yan, that's what happened. I didn't really want to disturb your Kingxiu. Luo Longxi lowered her head to Jia Yan, her beautiful face full of uneasiness. She was afraid that Jia Yan would blame her. After all, Jia Yan had given up even ordinary affairs and practiced here. He must have made some big breakthrough, otherwise he wouldn't be so cautious. She was now afraid that Jia Yan would not say he didn't care about her words, but if he did care, and it turned out to be an accident, then she would be embarrassed and might be punished. You're right, don't apologize, I still want to praise you. The words Jia Yan said made Luo Longxi's eyes light up. It seems that Jia Yan didn't blame her? Okay, actually, I just want to leave. Let's go and have a look now. By the way, you come with me. Jia Yan said this calmly to Luo Longxi beside him. Without waiting for Luo Longxi to express her opinion, one of his domineering brainwaves buzzed, creating a twisted space, and he stepped into it. Luo Longxi, who was behind him, looked behind him for less than a second, then seemed to have made some decision, and also took steps to follow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1382. This is how it felt when you didn't break into the spaceship and sat on it yourself. It's amazing, right? When Relancy entered the subspace, she thought she was going to experience an extremely dangerous wave of distortion, but she found that she had actually stepped into an aircraft. Looking around again, she smiled bitterly. She instantly figured out which ship it was. It was the subspace ship she had seen when she came quietly to attack Jia Yan after learning about the outsider. My lord's spaceship can actually stay docked in subspace. I was shocked at first. That's right, the Odessa is very powerful. This answer was not given by Jia Yan, but by a small light and shadow mosquito, with an appearance that was nothing like that of Jia Yan, but of course it was shrunk countless times. He quickly jumped out and flew around the 2 of them. Wow, this is the first time we have a guest in a long time. If you want to prepare something to drink, just use the essence and blood. I have a lot of it here. No, the guest needs to sit down, chair, I will change it. Don't bother me, Odessa. Jia Yan helplessly stopped the extremely happy Odessa. We will ride to a place not far away and will get down soon. Follow my coordinates and rush there. Oh, what a pity. Odessa was obviously not so happy, but he still didn't dare to disobey Jia Yan's order. He quickly launched the Odessa and flew slowly towards the twisted land on one side. Go. Sir, your aircraft can actually operate in the subspace of our planet? Doesn't that mean that you can leave at any time if you want? Seeing that the Aditha was actually moving instantly, even the well-informed Luolansi found it incredible. You must know that on this divine star, the entire planet is weirdly huge. There is definitely something weird about a similar huge Earth-like star. Of course, it is impossible for ordinary strong people to take advantage of it, and there are more weird things. The reason for its formation should be natural formation. In short, because of these weirdnesses, the subspace and magnetic field of this planet are extremely weird. Not to mention ordinary aircraft flying in subspace, even ordinary flying out of the god star is not that easy. Even if their gods want to come and go, they have to pay a huge price, otherwise there would not be so many gods who would not be able to leave when they want to. But now she actually saw that Jia Yan's strange aircraft not only sailed in subspace, but could even come and go freely in the chaotic subspace on this planet, which made her a little silent. Jia Yan's confidence and strength were far greater than she expected. Feeling Luo Longxi's dullness, Jia Yan didn't say anything. In fact, he didn't like talking to others by nature. Now that he has so many subordinates in charge, his conversational ability has not improved a bit. On the contrary, he doesn't like talking to others even more. People communicated. As his strength increases, Jia Yan's temper gradually becomes weird. After all, after reaching a certain level of strength, he becomes more able to live as he pleases. The same goes for his personality. In the past, you were arrogant and feared that a strong man would kill you. But now that Jia Yan is strong, he can show his temper and character. He is no longer afraid of offending anyone. Who dares to kill him? Not long after, Adisha's voice came. Here we are, it turns out it's so close. We arrived in less than a minute. It's boring. We're here now, Luo Longxi was startled. Yes, let's go down. Jia Yan led Luo Longxi off the Edissa, but during this period, Jia Yan couldn't help but say something to her. We'll see how you perform later. I hope you won't disappoint me. Yes, my lord. Rolo Enthi smiled bitterly, then nodded. In fact, she knew what Jia Yan meant. She had surrendered to Jia Yan for so long, and this was the first time that Jia Yan had asked her to face her former divine partner. So what she does this time will determine her future stay, and even her life and death. When Luo Longxi was silent, Jia Yan had already stepped out of a twisted hollow on the side of the twisted and void Edissa. Outside was the land of yellow sand in the sky. Hey, what a wonderful place. As soon as Jia Yan explored it, he knew the difference here. Of course, the difficulty of walking on the yellow sand has no impact on him at all, because he is used to moving in this space. What does the difficulty of walking in the outside world have to do with him? Following Jia Yan, Luo Longxi also followed out of the subspace. Very good. I feel their fluctuations. I guess I fell into the trap. They even escaped separately. These three guys are really pig-minded. As soon as Jia Yan stepped out of the space, he felt that in several places in the outside world, the 3-star level powerhouses were indeed being chased by a group of gods. They were already scarred and almost dead. Come here. Jia Long stood calmly on the spot, and the power of his brainwaves seemed to have penetrated the endless space, reaching the ears of 3-star level powerhouses in this land of yellow sand. This is. At this time, La Longxi discovered that the ground around where she and Jia Yan were standing had been wrapped by Jia Yan's faint brainwave power. The fluctuations in the level of the stellar powerhouses that appeared between the two of them actually did not occur. Spread out a trace. It seems to be a realm, but it doesn't look like it. It actually has a little shadow of the kingdom of God. Heaven. After feeling the power in this area, Luo Longxi's eyes widened instantly, almost in disbelief. Because she understands very well that the biggest difference between being a powerful god and a powerful star is that the nature of their energy is different. In addition to advancing in the ranks and practicing special combat skills, star-level warriors do not have as many requirements for external objects as they might imagine. At least they are much less than those of gods. But the gods are different. They have reached the level of gods. If they don't have a huge population of believers to provide them with crystals of faith, their strength will soon decrease, and they may even fall to the level of demigods, which is half-star level. And there are even bigger differences between the two sides, that is, the actual combat effectiveness and the differences in attributes. Star-level powerhouses use fields, and their fields generally have extremely strong talents. No star-level powerhouse may have multiple talent fields. Gods are different. Their gods, the country basically has all attributes. Although everyone has some differences, compared to the star-level powerhouses whose shortcomings will be serious, it is not so obvious. Such a huge difference makes it impossible for countless predecessors to come up with ways to effectively integrate the two systems. But now Luo Longxi actually sees that Jia Yan in front of her has a trace of divine attributes in the field. Even if the terrifying isolation power he is releasing with brainwave power counts as a domain, Luo Longxi doesn't know. I guess if I ask, the adults won't tell me. She wanted to ask, but she still didn't ask. Coming. While Luo Longxi was still in shock and emotion, Jia Yan did not realize her feelings, but said this solemnly. Coming. Luo Longxi was startled, and then she noticed that not far in front of them, a figure shot quickly, arriving at an extremely fast speed, as if it was triggering some life-saving method. The area where she and Jia Yan are. They are here too. Yes, they can all escape. Jia Yan looked at the speed of the three-star powerhouses from a distance and smiled lightly. You three actually met again. Are you planning to die together? Haha. These three guys are worthy of being simple-minded stellar powerhouses. Beings like you know how to fight and fight. You don't know anything about cooperation or how to fight. Now are we cornered? That's right, your leader Jia Yan must be a simple-minded person. If he is strong, he will definitely not be killed by our plot like the three of you in the future. The group of gods chasing behind the three stellar powerhouses were extremely mocking at the embarrassed appearance of the three stellar powerhouses. However, among these three-star level powerhouses, it seems that what they say is a way to die. Haha, you crazy gods, if you have the ability, repeat these words again. Tian Nialang's body was covered with blood stains from monsters, but at this moment he didn't care about his injuries at all, but turned his head back, and started provoking at a slower pace. Oh? If you want us to talk again, do you still think that Jia Yan can hear that? Haha, we know that he has been in retreat recently. Since you ask me to say it, I will say it again. That leader of yours, Jia Yan, is a complete fool. In the future, we only need to use our brains to kill him. He is just a stupid monster with strong limbs and a simple mind. Boom. When this creature's words just spoke, a blast of power exploded directly in front of a group of creatures. What? What kind of power is this? It's terrifying. It's difficult, could it be? A group of powerful gods felt the terrifying momentum not far in front of them, and their expressions changed drastically. While they were in shock and confusion, the three major star classes, including the Longhorn monster, sprayed blood and laughed happily at the same time. You are a bunch of bullshit gods. If you continue to scold them, no matter how much you dare to scold them, you will die without knowing how. Now, we adults are here. If you scold me again, you will die. The three-star level powerhouses aimed at the place where no one could be seen, but a powerful aura erupted, and then they all lowered their heads respectfully. I see you, your lord. Accompanying their salutes, a lazy voice sounded faintly. Then a front foot appeared in front of all creatures so suddenly. Next, the owner of this front foot walked out of what seemed like a twisted space. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1383. When the three stellar powerhouses saw Jia Yan arriving, they rushed to Jia Yan one by one as if they were seeing their master. The gods behind them were affected by the terrifying explosion of momentum and watched helplessly as these three stellar powerhouses ran away, but none of them dared to chase them. Sir, I was wrong. I shouldn't have trusted my intelligence too much. The beetle man rushed in front of Jia Yan, and the beetle monster body, which was as large as 1 kilometer, fell down in an instant. Sir, these guys behind us are chasing us so hard. Please make the decision for us, sir. The next 2 stars came to Jia Yan and complained. You must know that they were just side-by-side star-level powerhouses. They were forced by Jia Yan to lead them to fight against the gods and powerhouses, and now they almost died. They were really frightened. Tianyu Lang, this matter is not essentially your fault, but you did make a mistake in your judgment. When I go back, I will reduce your treatment and give you more power. Do you have any objections? Jia Yan said lightly. No, really not. Thank you for the lenient punishment. Tianyu Lang had no objection. After all, he almost killed 2 stellar friends this time. Humph, as for this group of guys, are there 10 of them? Since you dare to attack my subordinates, then I will let you know the consequences of offending us. Jia Yan looked at the 10 powerful gods who were flying to the side, but were uneasy and did not dare to approach. No, this Jia Yan actually wants to attack us. Back off, this guy's strength is extraordinary, and there are 3 helpers around him, huh? That bitch Flora is here too. Asshole, the goddess of flowers is actually here and destroyed her. This guy who doesn't respect the orthodoxy of our gods must be destroyed. Seeing that Jia Yan was about to take action himself, a group of gods wanted to retreat, but when they saw a slightly smaller figure standing next to Jia Yan, none of them immediately refused to retreat. It turns out that among the gods, the system of the gods and the pride of the gods are very particular. As a deity of their pantheon, the flower god actually not only betrayed the pantheon, but even betrayed the righteousness of the gods. She became very popular in Jia Yan's camp, and there were even rumors some time ago that she was hiding in the dark. They are all wandering in the camps of the major star-level powerhouses, as if they are about to fall into the arms of the star-level powerhouses. And in such a situation, when seeing her group of gods, it was as if they had seen an enemy and wanted to kill them even if they didn't even risk their lives. Huh? So do gods actually feel this way about betrayers? Jia Yan was startled for a moment, and then he forced himself to understand. It should be like among the Earthlings. If a member of a family suddenly rebelled and defected to another camp, it would be heartbreaking, right? Of course, he still doesn't know much. But not understanding it doesn't mean that Jia Yan will continue to struggle with this issue. Buzz. An extremely terrifying huge energy exploded from Jia Yan's body. And in the brainwave power caused by the explosion, there was a faint sense of unusual energy. This is the latest power that Jia Yan has obtained by fusing the divine crystals in the past few days. It is also the power that he vaguely feels that he will have an extraordinary place in the future. The essence of power of a star-level powerhouse, but with a hint of the combat skills of a godly powerhouse, plus the blessing of the power of the divine crystal. Under such circumstances, my combat effectiveness must have been greatly increased. Jia Yan suddenly burst out with a sense of power, instantly like a field, quickly encircling hundreds of kilometers together. The powerful gods who came to attack each and every one of them regained their anger at this moment. No, how could we be so excited by anger that we actually came into Jia Yan's domain? No, this is not a domain. It seems to be a domain, but it doesn't look like a domain, but one thing is for sure, it is not as powerful as a domain. Ignore him, maybe this Jia Yan came here on the way to practice and hasn't even recovered his domain. That's right. Do we have a chance to kill Jia Yan? That would be an amazing feat. None of the gods could recognize the power Jia Yan used at this moment. They suddenly rushed towards Jia Yan, and they were not even afraid of Jia Yan anymore. After all, Jia Yan impressed them too deeply last time, but now Jia Yan is not like the last time, showing overwhelming power as soon as he appears. So they thought that Jia Yan came here while he was practicing and his strength had not yet fully recovered. This was a huge opportunity, so each of them had a flash of light in their eyes, wanting to kill Jia Yan. "All right, you three, and Luo Longxi, come up to me. I will sweep the formation for you." Jia Yan looked at the four powerful men beside him calmly and spoke to them. Come on." As a being who had fought together with Jia Yan, the Longhorn monster had absolute trust in Jia Yan's strength, so he was the first to rush forward unconditionally. Although the other two astral levels are a little worried, after all three of them have suffered serious injuries. If Jia Yan is not as powerful as they imagined, then they will have to deal with it here. However, after seeing the extremely trusting expression of the Longhorn monster, they became cruel and rushed towards the yellow sand. Otherwise, they would die anyway. "What's wrong? Luo Longxi, don't you want to rush?" Jia Yan looked at Luo Longxi, who was hesitating on the side, and asked in an uncertain voice. He deliberately brought this original god here this time just to see if she was willing to fight her original god friends for him. After all, the strong gods are different from the strong ones at the stellar level. They have different bonds with their own gods. Unlike the strong ones at the stellar level, they only have a cooperative relationship at most. The gods in the divine system are like relatives and friends. Feel. Luo Longxi hesitated for a while. But just as she was hesitating, she heard several great gods on the other side yelling angrily at her, "Luo Longxi, you bitch, get out of here and die. You are a different species of the gods. Which god will meet you? If I see you, I have the power to kill you." Relancy felt clear for a moment. Yes, she had already committed an act of betrayal. Could it be that she still regrets it now? The members of her own family's pantheon have already regarded her as a traitor and want to get rid of her immediately, so why should she hesitate? "Sir, I'm on board too," she murmured, then rose into the sky in the direction of the two gods to fight them. On the other side, the 3-star level powerhouses faced fierce attacks from at least two gods. Including them, they all played with injuries, which showed their trust in Jia Yan. In this case, Jia Yan could be regarded as completely letting go of his unhappiness. "Since you trust me so much, how can I let you down?" A flash of light flashed in Jia Yan's faint eyes, and then a greater brainwave power suddenly appeared on its giant mosquito's body, which strengthened along with the brainwave power he had released. Buzz. At this moment, his brainwave power became even stronger. What? A group of gods, within the scope of Jia Yan's brainwave power, clearly did not feel that Jia Yan was using a domain, but they still felt the oppression of the domain. "My speed has actually slowed down so much. What is this? The realm is not like the realm, and the kingdom of God is not like the kingdom of God. There is such a thing. Where did Jia Yan learn this?" Each of the gods seemed to have lost most of their power, being severely suppressed by Jia Yan's brainwave power. The 3-star level experts in the direction of Jia Yan were not affected by this suppression. Instead, their bodies relaxed and their speed suddenly increased a lot. Haha, it's such a bonus. It's terrifying. They were suppressed, but we got a bonus. The comparison of our strengths is completely reversed. Kill. The eyes of the 3-star level powerhouses lit up one by one. They aimed at the god-level creatures in front of them and charged to kill them. With the help of Jia Yan's brainwave power, their feeling of fighting was completely changed. From being suppressed unilaterally, to being suppressed by gods and fighting. Boom boom boom. On the other side, the flower goddess Luo Longxi also faced two powerful gods. "Laurence, you traitor, go to hell." A tall bull monster god aimed at Luo Longxi, and attacked directly without giving her a chance to distinguish. The other god was dodging and making no move to attack. "Hey, it seems like..." Luo Longxi was startled, and then her face burst into joy. When the tall bull monster that attacked her suddenly came towards her, she realized that the god behind her had not followed her, so she couldn't help but turn around and shout. What are you still doing in a daze? This guy has betrayed you. Do you still think she is your former sister? It turns out that the person behind this bull monster is actually one of Relancy's former sisters in the Pantheon. Oh, I'll come. It was a huge creature that looked like a firefly, but was enlarged hundreds of millions of times in size. After listening to the words, it quickly followed the back of the bull monster and flew away. Luo Longxi, don't think that you can win with the help of Jia Yan's energy. Your strength has just returned to God. Don't you know how big the gap between you and us is now? What's more is when we join forces. When the bull monster came, he suddenly used his own attack. Ha, of course I know, and I also know the gap between us, but I don't think I will lose. You are not joining forces. Lawrence suddenly raised her head and laughed lightly. What? The bull monster was startled, and before he could respond, he suddenly felt a sharp pain emerge from his back. A new volume has begun. Thank you all for your support until now. Thank you. Gegegen Sin.